Good morning. Nice live stream yesterday. Thanks to those of you who attended. I think it was worth your while attending because we made quite a few green screens. This was the first of them yesterday. Bournemouth, job done before half time. Watch as we lock it in. This is the joy of trading. You can lock in your profit. Guaranteed now, regardless of what happens in this match afterwards. This is all guaranteed profit. I always try to leave a small amount on the draw to incentivize you to stay in for the return, the bigger return. Don't forget that 42 quid's not promised to you. That 31 is now locked in. Add that to yesterday's Aston Villa profit, and for the last two trades, a total of 86 quid. You can see that Aston Villa profit there, which was for members on Telegram only. Let's have a look at some of the highlights from yesterday. And it was great to see all of these high quality leagues returning, because that makes life a lot easier, particularly as you saw in the live stream, our use of soccerstats.com to unpack these matches. Brest and Lyon, you could have actually made a 1-to-1 return just with that single Lyon goal if you laid Brest 2-0 up, as I advised in the live stream. Again, the story yesterday, lock it in. If you locked it in, you'd have guaranteed yourself a return there, however small, but 1-to-1 ratio, so it's all about the amount you risk. But locked in, you add that to that 37 quid for Bournemouth, or 33 quid for Bournemouth, that brings that up to 50 quid already. And this is two very conservative £40 maximum stakes. So all good stuff. The German Bundesliga, more of a watching brief yesterday on the return from the winter break. Anything doing? Well, I did tell you, or members at least, these are huge odds for Eintracht Frankfurt against the St. Pauli side, who have trouble even scoring at home. Bayern Munich needed a penalty. Did warn you, post-winter break, they do tend to be a little wobbly. But they needed a Harry Kane penalty in the second half. You could have laid the draw second half, but more of a watching brief yesterday. So, red card changed the match for Heidenheim. Freiburg, well, it was looking a bit more comfortable at 3-1, wasn't it? In Italian Serie A, the main play, well, was there? Udinese and Atalanta. Udinese having a 0-0 in their last match did temper enthusiasm as far as laying the draw was concerned in the second half. We did lay the draw very, very late on because Atalanta have scored 8 goals in the last half hour of away matches. But clearly Udinese have done some changes. You can see by their recent results, something has clicked. But they're picking up draws yet again. 2 0-0s in a row. You've got to be very careful when a side's had a 0-0. And they're keeping a big name quiet. And they kept Atalanta very quiet. The Atalanta in-play stats were awful yesterday. Good result for Torino, but they've still not won a Turin derby since 2015. What a pity. They didn't score first, Torino. I would have been all over that. AC Milan will be disappointed with a late equaliser for Cagliari. But you could have laid the draw second half in the hope that AC Milan score the first goal, which they did under Alvaro Morata. So that produces a bigger swing in the draw odds if you lay the draw second half. And that was a technique we looked at yesterday, trying to keep liabilities low. In the live stream, you'll have seen me target both the Brentford match against Plymouth, where Plymouth scored first. So the swing in the draw odds was not marked at all. But we got out of there with a guaranteed return. 14 quid. I sacrificed 4 quid of that in case Brentford equalised later on. But quite clearly the Bees want to get out of this cup competition at their earliest convenience. Some managers want to, just to avoid the fixture congestion. We did the same with Falkirk as well. I'm not going to give the whole secret away. You'll have had to attend the live stream to have sussed this one out. But trying to get an effective break even, which this nearly was, only a £3 loss, for the potential of winning 47 quid if Falkirk managed to score a goal. Well worth it, I think. This should have been break even, but we got out a little bit late on. We're trying to make sure that any profit you make here is equivalent to the loss that's accumulated here. So you give yourself an effective break-even chance, which was brilliant. Worked very well with Brentford and Plymouth, apart from the fact that it wasn't Brentford who scored. So good stuff yesterday. The Dutch Eredivisie, well, late on, you could have had some fun with PSV. I did warn you this was a derby-style match, and AZ Alkmaar delivered. But you could have got that late PSV equaliser. You could have got 2 equalisers for PSV if you stuck with them, and indeed you used the in-play stats as a confirmation tool that PSV were up for it. Luke de Jong, a late penalty as well. Spanish La Liga yesterday was a little difficult, although I did put forward a late lay of the draw here in the hope that Alaves would do the scoring. It looked as if they had a specific Sheffield United type tactic, keep it to 0-0, try to nick a late winner. But as members and those of you who attended the live stream found out, neutral plays are excellent. I'm not sure we can get a reply in a message, because a couple of members did have the nous to lay that draw late on, make themselves a very good. Here we go. If I can find it. I can't get this. Here we go. Can we move down? No. I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to this. But a couple of members, Mark and Alan, did lay that late draw. Don't forget, it's a neutral play, which means it doesn't matter who scores. Girona didn't look like they were going to score. Doesn't matter who scores. You lay the late draw, you make a very nice profit with just that single goal. So all in all, an excellent day yesterday. Very entertaining. And in the English FA Cup, there was plenty of angles. But thankfully, Premier League sides are turning up in the FA Cup. If we can find it. Here we go. So the main winner there yesterday was Bournemouth, coming from behind to lead by half-time. Brilliant stuff. Liverpool, I did put forward over 2.5 goals, first half goals. Did get Liverpool to push, but they only scored 2 goals in the first half. But yet again, you could have made a 1-to-1 risk reward just for that single goal, the single opening goal there. Nottingham Forest continue along their merry way. Nothing much else going on. Leeds got a very late winner, as befits Leeds United. And don't forget, shorties equal goals. I keep saying, when you get these kind of odds, look for 3 scorelines between 4-0 and 9-0. And if you're lucky, you'll bag it. So if you were lucky enough to go 5-0, 7-0, 9-0 Chelsea, or 4-0, 6-0, 8-0 Man City, you'd have really cleaned up. 3 scorelines between 4-0 and 9-0. These odds are telling you it's highly likely to be a win to nil. So you saw that pattern yesterday. Shorties don't mean you don't play. Just be creative. 4-0 there. So if you've got the 4-0, 6-0, 8-0 there. So those of you who went evens would have got 2 out of 3 scorelines, and you would have got a very big Man City payout on 8-0 as well. We're expecting Salford not to score goals. So that's a nice little technique for you to use when you see shorties next time. Looking on to today, French League 1. Le Havre not having the best of seasons. That's why Lens are such strong favourites. But the away favourites have been pretty poor in French League 1 in the last day or so. We've seen Lille fail to score or fail to beat 10-man Auxerre. We saw Lyon yesterday at about evens losing 2-1 to what is a poor Brest. Now we've got Lens, who should really fill their boots away at Le Havre. But you have been warned. The market's not quite getting these away teams right. Paris Saint-Germain look to have a comfortable evening against Saint-Etienne, and the ones in between do need a little bit of research. So let's have a quick look at Montpellier-Angers using our old pal soccerstats.com, and you'll see, if you look at yesterday's video, I was using soccerstats.com during the matches, during the live stream, because we have our stats already. We have our patterns already, and they are strong patterns. So this is an excellent way to see those patterns. Montpellier and Angers, on paper, it's not a very appealing match, and you can see why. Only 4 wins for Angers, only 2 wins for Montpellier, needing to score 3 goals in those wins. But at home, they do threaten goals. At least they have in the last 3 matches, 3-2-2. And these two are pretty decent yardsticks, Lille and Nice. So it does suggest a little bit of fight, and also some defensive woes for Montpellier, you can see there. But Angers failed to score 2 of the last 3 away matches, and that's cost them dearly. Only the 5 defeats since the 15th of September is a little bit more consistent form. Losing to Paris Saint-Germain, fair enough. Lyon, Champions League bound as well. Challenge table might reveal a little bit more, or it might just tell us this is probably not a match to divest too much of your time in. 16 goals conceded, or conceded in the last 16 matches, have Montpellier. So they are likely to be vulnerable today. But this is 15th against 18th. It's like a relegation dogfight, isn't it? These two are in the wrong end of the table. Montpellier can't buy a win against fellow strugglers, albeit mostly away from home. But they do start winning against 9th and lower. And looking at Angers, 2 away wins, 1-0 only. Where's that second goal for Angers away from home? They will need that defence to click, because they haven't scored that second goal away from home yet. So any 0-1 lead might be vulnerable today. All in all, we pick our battles when we're trading. That's probably not one you can trust these two sides in. But caveat, it's what happens in play that's important. The in-play stats might change your complexion of this. Leipzig against Werder Bremen. Well, Leipzig have been in a spot of bother, picking up defeats, and heavy defeats at that as well. Let's take a look at Leipzig against Werder Bremen. Again, it might not be a match for us to focus on. We pick our battles. And if we can't trust the teams like Manchester United and Man City during that woeful run, look at Leipzig. But notably, 2 of the sides they've lost to, Dortmund and Bayern Munich, some of the big guns, but losing 4-3 to Hoff and then conceding 5 goals to Wolfsburg. It came from absolutely nowhere. They were suffering from Champions League itis like Manchester City. Suddenly the wheels fall off because of this new fangled Champions League. No coincidence. Looking at Werder Bremen, they wish they didn't have that winter break. 3 consecutive wins. Suddenly unbeaten in 4. And then you get the winter break to knock all of that momentum off kilter. They've failed to score in only 3, and have only kept 3 clean sheets, but they've kept 2 consecutive away clean sheets, albeit against struggling sides. So that form is not that hot. The question with Leipzig is whether you trust them or not. It could be a good match for a neutral play, couldn't it, if you can't trust the teams. 5th against 8th, it's a top 10 clash, and they can starting picking up defeats. You can see there against 7th and 9th and playing 8th today. So I don't know which Leipzig turns up, which means I can't read Leipzig, which means probably not a good trading vehicle. Werder Bremen away. They're in some of the best form they've been in for quite some time, but the vast majority of wins are coming against strugglers, you'll note. Looking at the overs fixture, it's 57% at home, 62% away. Goal times. Well, looks like substitutions could play a key part for Leipzig. They straight out of the blocks beginning of the second half. So watch out for that if it's a 0-0 at half time. And similar story, 9 goals scored in the first 30 minutes of the second half for Werder Bremen away from home. But they are extremely vulnerable in the first half. 85% of the goals conceded away have come in the first half for Werder Bremen. We might see a goal before half time, but can you trust Leipzig? They've only scored 27% of their home goals in the first half. But if Leipzig are to get a win today, they would need to be scoring first half, you think, to take advantage of this really poor Werder Bremen away pattern. So it's not a match you can really sink your teeth into, is it? And this is probably the similar story, Augsburg and Stuttgart. Serie A, Inter Milan against Venezia. Venezia getting a 2-2 against Juventus recently away from home. Inter Milan can't count their chickens just yet. Napoli playing a Verona who were kept to 0-0 by Udinese recently. This is a title clash. We've got Inter versus Napoli. Should be both top two. Nope. Atalanta dropping points yesterday. So this is an ideal opportunity with 2 games in hand for Inter Milan to have a tilt at top spot. Get 3 points today, they're up into second. They've still got a game in hand. Napoli, riding high, must keep that gap between them and Inter Milan, even though Inter have 2 games in hand. So it is advantage Inter Milan, as long as they can turn that into a win today, and I think they can against Venezia. You can have a look at the Venezia match. Are there any real patterns for the newly promoted side? Do they score against the big guns? Let's have a look. And as I keep saying, soccerstats.com at this stage of the season, from November onwards, is just a simple, superb website for you to use. Venezia do winning at home, you'll note. They're looking to be tough to beat. Took Napoli, 79th minute, Raspadori goal to get the win over them recently. You can tell by the in-play stats that Napoli were piling on the pressure. Inter Milan just exceptional. All wins bar 2 draws since the 28th of September. How many times have they scored 2+ goals? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. 5 consecutive matches as well. And 4 of those 5 matches have scored 3 goals. 3 consecutive clean sheets as well. 4 clean sheets in the last 5. It looks like banker material, doesn't it? So we're really hoping that Venezia can score. But they failed to score against the top three sides that they've met so far, but notably away from home, kept the matches very tight indeed. Highly likely they'll concede at least 2 goals today. Inter Milan against strugglers. Clean sheets in this pattern here, against 16th to 19th. Looking quite good. So that's more readable, isn't it? And the market's telling you as much as well. Huge motivation for these two to get the win. So if they are conceding, got a degree of confidence, don't you? Roma under new manager Claudio Ranieri, 2.7 the favourite. It's a warning sign. Market's finding this one difficult to unpack. Great to see the Eredivisie back. And if you played PSV, if you kept faith in PSV Eindhoven yesterday, you'd have been rewarded twice with Luc de Jong's 2 equalisers. Twente against Willem II, Feyenoord odds on. With PSV dropping points yesterday, Feyenoord must pick up the slack. Let's have a look at the table. Feyenoord 35, a win today with the game in hand. Takes them to 38. A little bit closer. Got to break into that 40-point barrier in order to tackle the Champions League places and a tilt at the title. Utrecht to the side who really surprised this season in 3rd place. Not normally a side you'd expect. We've got the usual guard here. Twente, AZ, Ajax, PSV. The usual crew. Vitesse Arnhem used to be part of that, but now they're bottom of the Eredivisie. Don't know what's gone on there. So this looks great. Eredivisie, I'll be on hand for this. Las Palmas and Getafe. Let me show you that match, because it's likely to be an imponderable given what the market's telling us. Las Palmas and Getafe. Probably not going to be finding any tradable patterns. 2.45 the favourite. Well, really solid stuff since the 21st of October for Las Palmas. Only losing to Atletico Madrid. No problem with that. And a 5-goal thriller against Mallorca. A 1-goal in it loss. Care of a 90th minute Mallorca penalty. So very unlucky there. They look like a side in some confidence, beating Barcelona as well. And 2 consecutive clean sheets. It stinks of new manager, this, doesn't it? It looks like they've got a new manager in place. I can't be certain, but that's the kind of change you'll see under new management. Getafe, failing to score in their recent 5 defeats. 4 of those defeats 1-0 only. Penalty. Second half goal. Penalty. So they are a very defensively set up side. Notably, those 2 clean sheets and this very defensive setup. You might see 0-0 at half time. 13 consecutive under 2.5 goal matches for Getafe. Very, very defensively led side. So don't expect overs here. Las Palmas, 14th against 17th. Have beaten 18th, 19th and 20th. Getafe, not played 14th or lower away. So we don't have a gauge really for them against bottom third sides. So it's difficult to read this one because all of this form is against the top 13. We might see contrasting form against strugglers. So difficult to read. But you've got the inference of unders, haven't you? 44%. Look at this, 12% over 2.5 goals away. This is not a match for goals today. Las Palmas, well, it's about 50-50 with their goal scoring. Getafe, well, all 3 of their goals scored away from home have come in the last half hour. Is this a specific technique like Alaves yesterday? Look for a 0-0, try to nick a late winner. So it's a tough match for the market to unpack. 2.45 the favourite, and we know why. It's likely to be a goal-shy affair. 13 consecutive under 2.5 goal matches. Atletico Madrid look absolutely rock solid. Belgian Europa League, we've got us a trade or two yesterday. We've got 2 teams to potentially target newly promoted Beerschot and Dender. So they'll be on the watch list, but it's a tough old coupon. You can tell that by the way the market has set it up. Anything else for the roster? Let's have a look. Czech 1 League, perhaps? No. FA Cup continues. My main focus will be on the short odds, and don't forget you saw yesterday's. So potential for 3 scorelines between 4-0 and 9-0. Normally I do that with that under 1.1. You got that with Newcastle as well. At home, Ipswich, Crystal Palace. Arsenal and Man U, all about team news. Psychologically, Man United might put out a stronger team in order to just give them a boost after that Liverpool draw. And that's about it, I think. We've got the French FA Cup for the ladies. Super League yesterday, got Olympiacos getting a late win from a 1-1. So watch out. PAOK, AEK Athens and Panathinaikos, the other 3 big names in the Greece Super League. So I'll be doing a live stream again today, as long as my parents don't need me. All hail to the ale. Hapoel Beersheva, a very good trading side. Serie B, I warned you about Sassuolo. They are in electric form. They are a second half goal scoring side. Well worthy of your attention this season. So I will see you for a live stream. I'm not sure when it's going to start. Let me confirm that a bit later on in the day. 2 o'clock is a possible. We need to start it at a good enough time where we've got plenty of matches kicking off at the same time. 2 o'clock will capture the second lots of half an hour for the Eredivisie. The English FA Cup beginning, again it will capture the 3 o'clocks for the FA Cup. We saw yesterday, got to be very cautious, but these shorties from the Premier League, the only one who's disappointed at home has been Brentford, and we still managed to profit out of that match. So I might see you for a live stream at about 2 p.m. It's not going to be a gung-ho one like yesterday. It's going to be a little quieter, I would suspect. So if you haven't joined the channel, make sure you join youtube.com/@footballtradingprofit. Subscribe and you will be aware of the next live stream. Excellent live stream yesterday. Lots of green screens. Lots for you to learn about football trading as well, right in front of your eyes in the actual markets. No theory here. It's all practical application. Good stuff. Thanks to those of you who turned up. I'll be doing another one as well. Probable 2 o'clock start. If you can make it, that would be excellent. Have a great, profitable green day, and I'll see you a little bit later.